Hey guys, Jason Khalipa here. Today is February 4th, 2016. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of what's happened the last couple weeks and kind of give you some insight into my life and what's occurred. Today is Thursday. We got home actually from the hospital yesterday. I've been in the hospital, my family and I have been in the hospital for 2 weeks straight. So my wife and I never left because we wanted to be there with our daughter. And so I'll kind of backtrack and give you guys a little bit of a history on what's going on. The reason why I'm doing this is because the outreach from the community has been so inspiring for me that I feel like you guys feel like you're kind of a part of it just like we are. And so I don't want to leave you guys on this cliffhanger. I want to explain to you what's happening and our perspective on it. So 2-3 weeks ago, actually a little bit longer than that, my daughter, probably for maybe the last, maybe 5-6 weeks, has been being, she was a little tired all the time. And she started getting bruising down at the bottom of her legs that wouldn't go away. And this was probably about a month ago from today. So about 2 weeks before we actually went in to the hospital. And so for about a week, we saw it. For about the next week, we're like, this doesn't look right. Let's go to the doctor and go check it out. So we went to the doctor and I thought we should do some blood tests and maybe see, maybe she's deficient in iron or something. Well, it comes to turn out, my wife takes her, I then meet her, she gets a blood test, and then she gets the x-ray of her chest. And later on that night, we get a call from the doctor saying that we need to go to Stanford emergency room, which is obviously not the call that you want to get. So we got the call, we immediately left our house, and we didn't return for the last 2 weeks. And that's my wife and I. And we were very fortunate, very blessed. My son that was also with us was able to stay here with my mother-in-law, who's here every day. And we went and took off to the emergency room. So we get there and they do a lot of additional tests. And we come to find out that night that she has leukemia. We don't know what type, but we know that she has leukemia. To say that was a big shock and a big change in our life would not do it justice. It was a very big shock to both of us, Ashley and myself. My father-in-law actually happened to be there as well. So we find out she has leukemia that same day. So it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. We had transferred over to the pediatric side of Stanford. And that day they gave her first procedure where they go ahead and go to her bone marrow to analyze what type of leukemia it is. And they also start treatment with some chemotherapy in her spine. In addition to that, they put in a PICC line, which is like an IV, only a little bit different. And so that was a very challenging experience. For any of you guys who have ever had your child be put to sleep for the first time, it's horrifying and it's very challenging. And since then, we've actually had to do it one other time. So she's been put to sleep twice. And the reality is she'll be put to sleep 28 more times before her treatment cycle is over. So that's not what we're looking forward to. So we find out that she has leukemia. They tell us that there's several different types it could be. We're going to identify that by looking through the bone marrow. And so we look at the bone marrow, and best case scenario, we get ALL. There's other different types, but ALL is most common, and it's also most treatable. So we're fingers crossed ALL. Fortunately, because of all your guys' prayers and best wishes, Ava has been placed in what they call the best bucket. So there's curable and uncurable. She's in the curable bucket. There's bad, worse, whatever. Fortunately, because of a form of ALL that she has, she's in the best bucket that you can get for her form of leukemia. So at this point in time, we're looking at about 95 to 98 percentile success rate and curability based on several different factors. That's today. We've undergone chemotherapy for the last 2 weeks. We have another 2 more weeks of chemotherapy. We're going again tomorrow to the hospital. We go back for chemo on Monday. After this month, then they'll do an analysis based on her hip bone marrow, and it'll dictate our next 6 months. For the next 6 months, we'll then go to Stanford twice a week, every week for the next 6 months with additional treatment. After that, we'll continue up there for 2 more years. The best way to look at it, the doctor explained to me, is that this first month, there's billions and billions of cells. We're looking to kill about 99.99% of those bad leukemia cells. That said, 0.01% still leaves a lot of cells left over. So even though this month we're going to crush it, after that we need to make sure we're still kicking their butt so they don't come back for the next 2.5 years, which should hopefully put us in a curable position. So that's a little bit of a background on it. There's obviously been some other things, but just kind of talk about how we are. My wife is a rock. My wife is solid. She's the greatest human being on the planet. Her and I met when we were in high school, and we've been together ever since. My daughter's taking it very well. She's reacting to the chemo extremely well. We've had a couple little issues, and my wife and I, we've gone through a decent amount, but we're thankful and blessed that Ava's in the best bucket that we could be in terms of leukemia, and we're looking for the future. If we stick to the plan, we know that at the end we'll have good results. It's just a path that might be a little bit challenging. So for those of you who sent your prayers, for those of you who sent your best blessings, I greatly appreciate it. My family greatly appreciates it. It's going to be a long road. I hope that you can continue to do what you've done, because whatever you have done has really been great. I've been awakened to a whole world that I never wanted to see and never saw. I've changed as a human being. My wife has changed. We are different people because of the perspective we have on life now. When you sit in, the cancer treatment center of a pediatric hospital for 2 weeks and you see what goes on, it really puts life into perspective. So in the future, I will be doing more to support different causes that we find valuable. Those being blood, platelets, donation, being on bone marrow lists, in addition to donations towards different causes that we find successful. And I'm going to shine light on that more as we go on. So while we were in the hospital, we got amazing gifts from all around the world. We've gotten letters from all around the world. I've gotten comments and text messages and emails from everybody in the CrossFit community and also outside the CrossFit community. So from the bottom of my heart, as well as our families, I want to thank you guys. That stuff meant a lot, especially all the gifts we've been given. Ava loves, she feels like it's her birthday every day, which is something so special to us. And the letters mean a lot. And just seeing the outreach from the CrossFit community has been something that I never thought possible. I've been a part of this community now for a decade. And I feel like for the last decade, CrossFit has given me so much. But then I look back and I'm like, wow, I must have given CrossFit and the community something, because so many people are reaching out. They feel like they know our family, and what you see through social media and what I say is what you get. We're just a family where I married my high school sweetheart. We have 2 wonderful children, and one of them, just got leukemia, and that's the way it is. And we're here to hit it head on. We're going to stay positive. We're going to stay the type of people who, look for things to be thankful for instead of the things that we could dread. And again, being in that hospital for the last 2 weeks just has given me a whole different perspective. And I'm going to take this perspective and I'm going to find ways. I'm going to find the reason why this is occurring, and we're going to execute on it. Let me add this one more thing. Everything in my life, everything in my wife's life, everything has led us to this point. Through CrossFit, I've learned to be mentally, physically tough. Through all the things that I've done with work, I've been financially stable. And now we're at this point right here where emotionally, physically, and financially, we're in a position where we could crush this thing. We can. And with all the support from you guys, with all the support from our family, there's no doubt in my mind and my family's mind that this journey will be sad, but we will win.